Other options with around our forms module is capturing employee data. So we know we've maybe made an offer to an employee or a new starter. Before they come in, what we'd like to do is capture their information. So again, I'm not going to fill this one in. I've got one already set in the background, you may notice, but what's happening here is we could fill this information in, or the employee could fill this information in before they come into the organization. So we can have all of this, we can have their identification. And if we're using forms and they're on a mobile, we can even access the camera. So if they want to attach a copy perhaps of their driver's license, we can just tap on that on our phone. It will access the camera, we can take a picture and it will attach it to the form. We can go down to bank account details and all of those types of things, even attaching P45s and so on. So we can capture all that information prior to them coming into the organization. And when they complete that form, it will just come to somebody within the organization where they can now validate that information. So we can see we've captured this information I completed earlier today. So John Doe here has got all of his information. We can see we've ticked all of those boxes, completed all that information. We've even attached a starter checklist in there, which I'm going to touch on now because we'll notice this one is blank. But the other thing we can do with forms, and if I search for John, when I completed my new starter, my employee data form, what we've also been able to do is create multiple documents with the same information. So in this example, I've got employee data, but what I've also done is I've used some of that data again to start populating the new starter checklist. So we can see we're starting to capture that information. We don't have to put this information onto multiple copy and paste from multiple documents. We could potentially with one form create multiple documents that are required as part of the process of bringing somebody into the business, or it might be another process within the organization we can apply the same principles to. So a couple of examples around those forms. We can capture other documents and supporting documentation. What we can also do is we can apply those retention policies. So we can see now the retention policies we've got, for example, for contracts and driver's licenses. The beauty as well, when we're capturing this information, if I just go back to the document tray and we say, for example, we have a driver's license and we've got an expiry date. In fact, well, that's expired this year. We could have had the system flag to say their driving license is due to expire. And this could have flagged us 6 months before the date, for example, to say Peter Sanders' driver's license is due to expire. We need to have an updated copy of their driver's license. It might be that depending on what type of organization you are, you might have to have criminal record checks for your employees. Again, they have expiry dates. We can monitor and notify people when these things are due to expire and make sure that we're always staying up to date and making sure that the relevant documentation or certification is in place for those employees at any given moment, because the system can stay on top and monitor that information for us.